Oh, welcome to the latest from Heart Standard. My name is Joel Sked, and I'm delighted to be joined on this Friday evening by Tom Irving. How's it going, Tom?
I'm not bad. I'm delighted to be here too. It's been a good day, nice sunny day. Watched the club I work for win in a pretty hard game, so it's been a good evening for me. So
Good stuff, good stuff. Yeah, the weather's been spectacular. I've not seen any of it the last couple of days, but that's um, it's it's not nothing I can do about that, and not that anyone wants to hear about that. But Heart Standard is brought to you by S1 Jobs. It's time if it's time to hand in your transfer request, then head over to s1jobs.com and upload your CV today. With thousands of jobs across Edinburgh and the surrounding area, you will find the one at S1 Jobs. Start your search today. I am feeling already very, very rusty. This is my first show back since holiday, and Craig has been given a well-deserved day off and 4 days off in the coming days after he held down the fort where I was gallivanting elsewhere. Now, Tom, I've got you on for two reasons. Firstly, Hearts announced a signing out the blue on Thursday with the announcing that Christian Borchgrevink will be joining the club in the summer on a 3-year deal from Vålerenga, signing. I think it will go through in June, and he will join up with the club then. And we'll also preview the game tomorrow with Hearts playing against Motherwell for a spot in the top 6 at stake. Now, we'll leave that till the second half of the podcast, and we will, for the show, and we'll talk about the signing of Christian. Honestly, I'm just going to call him Christian at the moment because even though I've written his name down a ridiculous amount of times today, I am still struggling to remember it and still struggling to pronounce it because I just want to say Borchgrevink when it's Borchgrevink. I think that's how you pronounce it, but we will correct it in due time. But anyway, you got in touch, thankfully, yesterday, just off the back of his signing, to say to ask if I wanted a kind of scout report, and of course we do because they're always fantastic. You watched him, you looked into the data. Before we get into the nitty gritty of it, what were your initial impressions when you seen that the player had been announced, and then just on your initial look into him?
So initially, I was surprised. Really, I saw just those ones you get on kickback where just someone says a name and you're like, all right, this is never going to happen. And then I didn't think much of it, and then it actually came apparent that it was true. 25-year-old captain of probably the third biggest club in Norway, I would say. Top 4, top 5, definitely. That's nothing to. They were down last season in the second tier, so I guess from that you might think, oh, he's just a player who's coming from the second division. But no, they're a huge side. Everyone, I don't know, maybe it's the younger generation might know them that well, but I guess me and your generation really, they're a very not household name. Not many Norwegian clubs are household names in Scotland, but they're one of the big clubs. And so I don't think he'll be phased coming from one of the big clubs in the capital in Norway to the biggest club in the capital in Edinburgh. I saw someone comment on social media about, I wonder how he's going to deal with Scottish atmospheres or something like that. But like Norway have got good fan bases. They've got loud fan bases. They follow their team well. I don't think he's going to be phased by anything like that. First impressions were good. Very positive. I'd never heard of him before, so I had to do some digging. But first impressions were very positive.
Now I'm trying to find that's why I was trying to bring up the data so that you can talk through with it, and I was clicking the wrong thing. Like I said, I am very rusty and incompetent today, but we'll get through it. No worries at all. You looked and your initial you messaged me that it's like good on paper. So as you've discussed before, you'll both look at the data and the numbers, and then provide an eye test with it. So like you did in the article, which I've linked in the description, we'll talk about the data first, and then we'll expand on the the eye test, and then we'll look at a comparison late before we move on to the Motherwell game. So I've just flashed the data up on the screen there. So apologies if you're listening on a podcast, but on YouTube you'll be able to see a lot of green bars. So talk me through this, which splits into the first section is defensive, the middle section is possession, and then the third section is attacking.
Yeah, and from that, I purposely split into those three sections because I want to see what he's like on all parts of his game there. But this almost splits itself into four sections, and it's something like some of the positions I want to split up the possession section into kind of passing and or dribbling or more, going with the ball instead of passing the ball. But I just don't, and I think honestly it might just be a little bit of laziness on my part because I think I'd probably be the only one that notices that like the distinction. But yeah, we can see a clear difference in four sections. Well, we can see kind of clear four sections: defensive, passing, dribbling aspects, and then the kind of attacking final third aspects. I guess when you think about it, Vålerenga, they won the league, maybe not a canter, but I think it was 11 points they won the league by. So usually when you see players from there, the top teams, they might have kind of skewed metrics. For example, just let's take Celtic, for example. You would imagine their defenders don't have to do much defending. So you'd think their defensive duels per 90 and things like that might be a little bit lower. But in his case, the defensive metrics are all pretty strong, apart from the shots blocked per 90, which isn't something that heavily matters too much for a fullback, I would say. It's more something I'd use for centre-back. Are they putting their body on the line like Harry Maguire and shoving their face in the way of like massive shots and stuff, or they're not. But it's not something I use all the time for fullbacks or wingbacks, but I thought I'd shove it in here. The other, 4 metrics are all very positive. He's involved in lots of defensive duels. His success rate is very high, which in comparison to all of our fullbacks or wingbacks on Y-Scout, there's 5. Let me think: Oyegoke, Kingsley, Forrester, Taylor. I'm missing an obvious one. Penrice, the obvious one. So compared to those 5, he's actually, I think, 6% better. The best, I think their range was between 61% and 65%. So that's a very, very high amount of defensive duels won. Interceptions really high as well, which is good. It wasn't as high as I think it was. I think Taylor maybe was the highest, but he was just below him. And then one other good thing that we see in the defensive side of things is the successful defensive actions per 90. So that's all defensive actions. It's right up there. It's around 95 percentile. So that says that he should be a pretty strong defender. So that's kind of the defensive side of things. We've got the big difference between the passing and the dribbling type metrics. I'll go with dribbling first. He doesn't look like the kind of player who wants to go with the ball and drive forward with it. I think he knows that his range of passing is really good, and so he just uses that instead. He's got a good movement off the ball. He'll make a pass and get into positions further up the park, but it won't be like Penrice does and just starts down the line with a quick 1-2. It'll be a nice pass, good movement off the ball, finding himself in a bit of space further up the park. I like that a lot of his. We got high numbers of forward passes as well. It might be something down to the style of Vålerenga, but I do think when I was watching him, second he gets the ball, his first touch is forward, and he looks, can I go forward? And unlike what we're kind of used to in Scotland sometimes, it's not just a punt up the park and hope for the best. It's usually, right, there's a guy there, I'm passing it to him, which, Scottish football isn't always used to that. That might be a little bit backward thinking by me, but and then one of the other things, the passes to the final third and the crosses, can kind of be the same thing sometimes. If you watch them, sometimes a pass to the final third will look like a cross, and sometimes a cross will look like a pass to the final third. It's just the intricacies of Y Scout, and a lot of the time
data collecting.
And a lot of time AI doing the job for you and stuff, or minimum wage people doing the data collection. But yeah, both very good. He's got a good eye for a kind of adventurous pass, and his crosses are really impressive. I was going to say something, but I don't know if I want to say it.
Has he? You so Hearts put in their statement. It's like he's got famed for his delivery. Must be famed in Norway. And then you noted that he had a wand off a right foot. Is that the case? Is he just he just looks like he's got a? I know we're kind of skipping on to the eye test here, but for a moment. But is his crossing as good as being built up?
Yeah, I would say so. Funnily enough, I think the first two corners I watched didn't go past the first man, and I was like, oh no, another myth. But I watched more corners, and I watched more of the crosses and stuff, and yeah, he was finding errors. It's always got kind of curl on it. It's not just dinked in the middle usually. It's usually kind of like an outswinging cross. And I don't know if it was their tactic or just what he likes to do, but he was really putting in kind of between the penalty spot and the 6 yard spot, 6 yard line, that area where goalies don't want to come for it. Yep. Defenders think their goalie's coming for it, and leaves the attacker kind of the chance to attack it. I don't want to over-exaggerate it too much, but I think he's got a very good right foot, and it's a very good delivery. I was going to say something else there, but no, I'm not going to do that comparison.
Well, it's going to gun. I like a ridiculous comparison.
But okay, I'm going to prefix this with I'm nowhere comparing these two players in their ability or anything like that. But you know how it sounds ridiculous even say this, but you know how like David Beckham when he plays, right? He gets the ball out.
I didn't think you were going that way.
Yeah, but gets the ball out of his feet and finds that cross. You know, he's nowhere near as good as him, but he's never going to. Beckham wouldn't get the ball and drive forward with it, right?
Yeah,
he would get the ball and find a pass. Is that to a very, very much smaller scale? Like he understands his abilities. He knows he's got a good right foot. To at our level, and he'll get the ball in the box. You can edit that part out if you want, actually.
No, I love it. I love that stuff. Just so finally, just on the last section, and this is something that's like you'd almost expect the third section and the fourth section to be flipped, but this is obviously comparing all the green of his attacking is comparing it to other fullbacks in the league, and the big thing is how much of an impact he has in the final third, not just in terms of assists, but actually scoring goals or being a goal threat.
Yeah, and it's a hard one because a fullback could score 2 goals and be up the high end. So it's a bit of it's more, I keep it in more to see, has he scored a goal or is he actually an outlier? He scored 5-6 goals,
Yeah.
Everywhere in the middle doesn't really mean too much, but he is on the higher end. He has scored, I think it was 4 goals last season, 4 maybe 5.
And I suppose when you say that, it's the 3 darker green bars that fans should be paying attention to, and there's probably more. There's more to it there, and that's his expected assists, his assists, and his chances created essentially per 90.
Yeah, exactly. Because we don't really care too much if our right back is scoring goals or taking lots of shots.
Yeah,
but
2 or 3 would be nice.
Yeah, exactly. And it's good that they're not empty, I would say. But those dark green bars, expected assists, and shot assists per 90. Shot assist, as it is, he makes a pass, who the next person who receives the pass takes a shot. So that means he's setting up about 2 chances a game with those passes, which is good. Then when we look at the XA and the assists, it's all down to that crossing ability. I think the majority of that is getting balls into the box for someone to finish, finding that really good area where there's attackers there. So that kind of correlates with the passing metrics, and that is kind of, I know we're going to get on the eye test in a second, but that is kind of what I saw when watching them.
Yeah, so that's what the next question was going to be, was regarding the eye test, and how was there anything that, having looked at the data, that having watched them and comparing it, changes or backs up, or there's areas that you think that are really good or need to be worked on?
Yeah, so I think it is pretty all accurate. The possession stuff I think is really accurate. It's exactly what I saw. And I've kind of described what he looks like, what he is like in that aspect. And I guess that applies to the attacking side of things as well. Yeah, those two kind of interchange there. Defensive side of things. So I think I mentioned in the article, there was positives and there was negatives. I think he is really strong in certain situations. Like he's got good anticipation, he's got good positioning and stuff, and he gets the ball and he's able to stand up a player. He's quite physical with them and stuff, and he's good at kind of getting a foot in and knocking the ball away. Where I see him weak from a defensive point of view is when you've got a fast winger going at him. I saw people saying that he was really, really quick and stuff, but especially I even saw Valerenga fans saying that on Twitter. I didn't see that at all. He's not slow. He's not like the slowest player we'll ever see, but he's not quick. He's just average, I think. And I saw that going forward and defensively. And I think sometimes when the wingers just use a little bit of pace to get past them, or a little bit of skill to get past them, I think he struggled a little bit, but I feel like he didn't let himself get in those situations a lot of the time. So I think it's not going to be that much of an issue, and it's not like he's going to get beaten every single time. The attacker is always kind of in the advantage in these situations, I think, anyway. He's not going to get beaten every time, but I think that's something he could probably work on. Saying that, he's really good at like those slide tackles that everyone just goes mental for. He's really good at those. He doesn't half-arse it. He's always all in, taking the ball, taking the player if he needs to. And he's times it perfectly every single time, which was great. I was watching it thinking, yes, I'm going to see a red card here or something. Nope, perfect every single time. So and sometimes when he got beaten, he would get back and the next thing would be a big tackle kind of thing. So, the defensive side of thing would be the only one I would not question, but I think it potentially makes him stronger. Probably the successful defensive action, it makes him look a little bit stronger than what he is. But I think that's down to his intelligence and playing to his strengths and knowing not to leave himself in one-on-one situations and stuff. That makes sense.
So supposed to kind of finish up, and I'll bring a couple of comments in here on Christian. I will get around to calling him by his surname eventually. The Gorgie Boys podcast says, good to see Hearts have got problem positions sorted already. William Harden says, don't let Joel say Borchgrevink is going to be amazing and jinx it again. I'm not going to say anything. But we will talk about Taylor shortly. FRNZTAK7 says, right back always seemed being an issue since Smith. Need wingers, which the club knew for a long time and done nothing about. Also need a new manager who's actually been identified by Jamestown. And then James Govan says, evening guys, do expect another right back and Forrest to go out loan. I'm guessing this guy will be first choice next year. So before I bring you in, Tom, I would very much expect him to be first choice next season, and I would expect Forrester to remain, certainly in the short term. Don't think you'll see. I just think the squad as it is too big, and it's something that the club will want to get down while creating space for the younger players as well. So I think you'll see, in terms of the squad building, kind of like priority positions, and then maybe later on in the summer looking what's best for Forrester, whether it is going out on loan or staying and competing for a place. Critchley spoke about it today. I've got it up just in front of me, so I'll be able to read out what he says. But He said that Adam knows the situation. We've spoken to him numerous times. Dan left in January and Gerald is here at the moment. Adam's got the shirt. He's the number one choice. You need players in every position and you need players to be competing. That's no different. We've been open and transparent with Adam. He knows where he stands in the group. In this moment in time, he's got the shirt and he's playing extremely well. As with every position, you need people to be able to challenge you. Christian's going to come in and do that. It'll be a really good competition to see who's the right back for Hearts next season. But yeah, I would imagine that it is going to be Christian Borchgrevink who is going to be the starting player. And are you of the same view that he is sorting this problem position?
Yeah, I would say so. I think if you ask every Hearts fan, they'll say that's our kind of Achilles heel is right back. Even when Smith was here, he was towards the end of his time. He had lots of injuries, and I don't want to say he couldn't be relied on because he was Mr. Reliable, but yeah, he was too many injuries, getting a little bit old and stuff.
He went from 7 out of 10 to 6 out of 10.
Yeah, exactly, 6.5. But yeah, I think it has been a problem position since the end of his tenure. So I'm glad we've signed someone who looks on paper to be a good, solid choice. I would imagine he'll be first choice. I get what you're saying about the wanting to get the numbers down in the squad. I would like to see Adam going out on loan to probably a championship side and getting 90 minutes every week for a season and then coming back. But yeah, if we're looking to get our numbers down, I don't think we need a huge turnaround this summer. Turnover of players. That I've seen people mention like we need 10, 11 new players. I think I'd be happy with maybe 5 or 6. Take the 5 or 6 players who are going to be instant starters and remove the 5 or 6 deadwood in the squad or something, whatever you want to call it. I think we'd see an entirely different team just from those select players changing.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised by that. And just kind of like streamlining it and bringing in, trying obviously to bring in quality and then building from there. And I agree, yeah. And like Forrester will, so as kind of said, look at it further on in the window because Forrester, like probably Macaulay Tate as well, got into the position where they're young and they probably need to be playing regular football now rather than coming in and out of the team. So yeah, I wouldn't. At the moment, I would say that's the competition, but things could change over the summer. Just finally, before we move on to the game, just touch on Gerald Taylor. It was confirmed today, a little surprised that Gerald Taylor's not going to be kept on beyond the summer. He had an option in his loan deal from Deportivo Saprissa, but Hearts are not taking up and they've informed him of that. She spoke to Taylor's agent before we went on holiday for an article, but that was prior to, I was going to go out and then he got injured on the international break, so then it's not seen the light of day, but kind of spoke about his recovery, kind of how difficult it's been, how he wanted to stay at Hearts for that period and be part of the team, and how he really wanted to. The aim was to make the deal permanent, but obviously with the injuries and after such an incredible start to his career, where you're after the Tottenham game and the Rangers game, you're thinking, "Wow, Hearts have found an absolute diamond." It's just it's not continued in that trajectory. So yeah, it's a wee bit of a shame that it's gone that way. And yes, as James says, the curse of Sked ruined Taylor's career. I was bigging him up as the sign of the season. I think I tweeted that out during the Spurs game, so it says a hell of a lot about me and the fact that I'm just never going to offer an opinion again.
Yeah. That's just reminded me. We did a kind of pre-season predictions and stuff, and
I need to look them out.
I looked back at it like a month ago, and I was like, "Oh no."
I will definitely be bringing them back out for the end of the season.
I'm excited for it.
I was going to bring up, I was going to ask you about the comparison between Christian and James Tavernier, but the fact that you compared him with David Beckham instead was better. So we'll move on from that and talk about the game tomorrow. Hearts take on Motherwell at Fir Park. Hearts simply just win and we're in the top 6. Lose and we're at the top 6. And then if it was a draw, it depends on what St Mirren do with their game at home to, I believe it's Ross County, if I remember correctly. It is, yes, home to Ross County. And Hearts are at Motherwell. I have, as we mentioned, I've been on holiday the last couple of weeks and I've actually missed the last last 3 games. I was in a stag do for the Ross County game, and then we on holiday. I've not seen the Celtic or Dundee United games because I just tried to switch off completely. I went on social media during the Dundee United game, saw the goal that we conceded. I thought, right, that's enough of the internet today. I don't want to see any more of that. How are you feeling about it? How are you feeling about the game tomorrow, and what would you like to see Critchley do? Because Graham from the Gorgie Boys podcast, he notes that it's not coming up. So he just said, oh, there we go. Hope tomorrow we win the Diamond. 4-4-2 v Dundee. At Dens, we were excellent and not really played that game. We look comfortable in that system, and Cabangu and Shankland linked really well. How are you feeling about tomorrow in the Diamond?
I don't know what we're going to do, to be honest. I guess Wilson being out, I'm assuming I'm guessing he's banned for this game, right?
Yeah. Banned for this game and banned for the first one after the split, I believe.
Okay, cool. That's kind of forced his hand to change something. I don't know if I'm one of the only people who thought this, but I thought Shankland looked pretty good when he came on against Dundee United. I've seen people say different, but I thought he was creating a lot. I'm not sure what we're going to do with it. We played a few different formations this season. I would be happy with a 4-4-2, to be honest. Either that or potentially playing like a 4-3-3 or the whatever you want to call it, 4-3-3 with. No, hold on. What am I going for here? 4-2-3-1. There we are. Took me a minute. 4-2-3-1.
One of the most popular football formations of all time.
Yeah, exactly. With Khartoum in behind Cabangu, potentially, is what I'd like to see. I would like to see Benny and Devlin back together in that two, potentially. They work really well together. Devlin was one of our best players, I think, before he got that inconspicuous head knock. And I think he would still be playing if it wasn't for that, forcing kind of Benny to pick up the reins and do two men's job for the last few weeks. But honestly, I know it's you got me here for my opinion, but I'm kind of a bit clueless of what's going to happen tomorrow. I think there'll be some surprises. Probably there'll be one or two decisions made that some fans won't be too chuffed about potentially, but I don't know what they're going to be. What do you think?
So, that's why I got you on, because I still need to catch up. I only got back yesterday, so I've not had the time to watch games in full, but just kind of catching up on stuff over the last 24 hours. And like at the press conference today, listening to Critchley, I still think he'll still view the Diamond, the setup, as a positive. And he talked about how it was margins against United, and the team created the better chances, and Hearts on another day could and really should have and probably would have won that game against Dundee United. So I think he will look at that and take a lot of positives from that. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see the Diamond, but then again, I think it's a harder system to play when you've not got James Wilson, because if you, for example, brought Shankland back in, I don't know, some fans want to see Shankland brought back in after he was allegedly pictured at the Rangers game on Thursday, watching them against Athletic Bilbao. Personally, it doesn't bother me. Guy goes to watch the team he supports, so it's I wouldn't mind seeing him come back in, but I don't think you can play Shankland and Cabangu as a front two with Khartoum as a number 10 behind. I just get the feeling that Shankland would drop into the space, and I think just get too crowded. Whereas when you've got a number 10, the big thing about Cabangu and Wilson is that they stretch the game and they can play wide. They can play in behind, which kind of opens up the space for the number 10. So I just think Critchley's, rather than him reacting to a United performance or result, I think he'll react to the situation with Wilson's suspension, and he'll change it, and he'll go 4-2-3-1 with Shankland coming in behind, potentially coming in behind Cabangu, and then you'll have potentially Spittle and Cartoon playing kind of inverted. Again, it's not ideal because you want someone who's able to stretch the game out wide. But like you, I like to see Devlin and Benny have that partnership in the centre of the pitch. The two of them have, over the last 4 months, have each been the best player during that time.
Yeah.
And I also think the another big thing which will help with the team's width and threat from wide is Penrice and Spittle, that partnership. I don't think it's any surprise that because of the new shape, that both their impact and influence further up the pitch has been diminished. And I wrote about it before I went on holiday. I think it was got released while I was away, but spoke to James Penrice about it, and he was very honest. He said that it's taken him a while to adjust to it, and also that with his bombarding runs, teams have been kind of starting to focus on the space he leaves, and then there's kind of been a desire from Critchley for him to temper his constant running and that basically just pick and choose. So I would like to see maybe a return to that and allow him, give him a wee bit more freedom, and then you're kind of just asking Forrester to maybe tuck in and just play as more of a defensive fullback. So that's how I would think the team will shape up tomorrow.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think that's also where having Devlin and Benny in that too is pretty beneficial, because when Penrice goes up and gets lost, well, not gets lost, but goes on his little adventure, and often, it comes off from, but when it doesn't, there's a lot of space left. And when you've got two really hard-working, defensively impressive kind of defensive midfielders, I guess we'll call them.
You can cover.
Yeah, one of them can drop in, centre back can push out, or the Devlin or Benny can go push out to the left back, or whatever it is. We've already got one or two extra players that are cover for Penrice, so it probably gives him more freedom, and it probably there's probably a little bit inside his head when he does make these runs, when he's only got maybe one player in there, maybe we're playing a diamond, that he doesn't want to because he knows he's going to get caught out. So it might be a little bit of a mental thing as well, stopping him making those adventurous runs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Before we finish up, David Young said I'd play Penrice on the left, Wing and Harry Milne at left back. Wouldn't be against seeing that, especially with Penrice's previous playing as an attacker. No, just having spoken to Ian McCall about him because I spoke to Paul Hartley and Ian McCall for a piece on Harry Milne that should come out at some point. But Ian McCall talked about how he saw Penrice as a winger, but he's been really pleased with how well he's done at Hearts. So yeah, he has got that in his thing, but I wouldn't be surprised. I don't get the feeling that Critchley views Penrice as a left winger. And finally, last question for you, Tom. How much pressure do you think Critchley is under tomorrow? A number of fans seem to still be unconvinced by him. Yeah.
It's a good question. It's a hard one. I think there's.
I think. Sorry to jump in on it. I think next Saturday is bigger than tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if he loses one of these two games, that those fans who are kind of on the edge will go to the negative side. I think he's got to win both to. Yeah, those fans are a bit indifferent about him. He needs 2 wins basically. But when it comes to how much pressure is he under, I guess it depends who the pressure you're talking about is from. Is he under pressure from the fans? Yeah, 100%. Is he under pressure of losing his job? I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point.
Yeah, he's made it. The turnaround has been ridiculous. And I think Hearts fans expect us to be back being Hearts, third place Hearts, which we're not right now. If he came at the beginning of the season, maybe we'd be close to it, but I think it'd be harsh not giving him the summer to bring in for Jamestown to bring in a few more players and seeing what happens. Even if he loses the next couple of games, he picked us up. He joined us when we were bottom or second bottom by a point or whatever, and he's now got us potentially maybe looking at fifth if everything goes well. potentially in the Scottish Cup final, hopefully against St Johnstone. So yeah, it's not been a great season by any means, but it's a good turnaround, and I think we've got to give them the next little while to see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm on the same page as you. David says here, Critchley needs a summer, in my opinion. We can't keep chopping and changing managers. It does not help build anything sustainable. I completely agree, and I've mentioned this on the podcast of the show before, that I'm always got sympathy for a manager coming into a difficult situation during the season because he's managing a team that's not his, and there is. Came into not only managing a squad that isn't his, but then he enters a period where there's that much time on the training ground, and then people think, like, naturally you're thinking, right, just give him time, but then naturally as well, fans are coming and making judgments on what they're seeing on the pitch, and while he is hamstrung and got an arm tied behind his back, there's that context is sometimes lost, and as James says, like, lose tomorrow and it kind of hinge, and that's why I think losing tomorrow and hinges on the semi, because people are not let's say ready to turn, but people have got misgivings and are ready to turn. But I do think he needs time. But the issue is losing. Just say we finish bottom six, or even maybe get into the top six, but losing the semi-final, I do think he's got quite a bit to do to win fans over and to kind of cash, like to get some kind of merit and win a lot of fans back over. So yeah, it's a difficult situation, but I would like to see him given time, because as going back to what David Young said, is that you can't keep chopping and changing managers, but losing against Aberdeen builds into that big game perception. As like FRNZTAK7 says, what turn he's not won a single big game of note, not one in 3 derbies, lost millions due to being knocked out by Petrol Club. If we lose against Aberdeen at sackable. So yeah, I just think the Aberdeen game is going to swing a lot of fans one way, kind of one way or the other. If he wins and gets to the final, then he gets a bit of certainly gives them a bit more leeway.
Especially if we win the final and we steal Europe. I think he could do nothing wrong in Gorgie for the rest of his life.
Yeah, exactly. That gives the club a massive boost going into the summer, a massive bounce, and then it just builds that momentum. But again, that's will that happen? We'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tom, thank you very much for joining me on this Friday evening. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening on this Friday evening. I am going to get my dinner now and finish some work, but we will be back potentially Sunday. I need to see what Craig is. Craig's plans are. He's covering the game tomorrow. I'm missing that game as well because I've got a wedding. So hopefully we'll be back on Sunday to review. If not, then we'll probably be back on Monday. Be sure to check out the site. Loads of stuff gone out from the press conference today. Tom's piece on Christian has gone up on the site as well. Gives you the lowdown, kind of goes into depth about a lot of the stuff we talked about. And then we'll have all the coverage over the weekend from the game at Motherwell, which will hopefully see Hearts get into the top 6 ahead of the game against Aberdeen next week. But until the next time, thank you very much and goodbye.